Hey guys, Walt Wagner here with TAV. Today actually yesterday, we just wrapped up Overland Expo West in Flagstaff, and it was a pretty successful event. I think we got a lot of good conversations going on with the Land Cruiser project that we have here with Enduro Campers, and we wanted to kind of just take this opportunity to do my portion of the walk around on the suspension and the body armor, and kind of how we wanted to set this up for the camper that Leif with Enduro Campers had put on here. So this has been a really fun project to work on, and we're out here in a pretty epic camp spot up here in somewhere a lot of you might be familiar with, called Muley Point. And we're just up on the cliffs, killer backdrop, nice sunlight. So figured we'd go from front to back on this. We kind of transitioned to go from top down to kind of discuss the weight on these trucks. But Leif is going to cover what the camper is all about, and we'll just kind of cover some of the suspension, drivetrain, and body armor attributes of this build. So I'm standing over here because the wind's pretty bad, so we're going to talk about the front bumper first, the body armor. On this, we worked with a Descent off-road before in the past, and their bumpers are kind of a modular setup, so you can kind of see how the pieces come together on the wings on the front bumper here, and how we can incorporate a bull bar on this one. You've probably seen another Land Cruiser we did, same bumper but no bull bar, and the bull bar itself kind of drastically changes the appearance of the bumper, but provides a lot of really good lightweight protection. So this thing's super light, this whole thing that bolts on, but as it's bolted in, it's got a lot of structural integrity to it, so it's super strong. And it protects the lights in a really low profile manner. So behind the wheel, you really can't see a whole lot of it other than this top bar just a little bit in front of the hood. So that's there for protection, but it also is the mounting point for our come up 12.5 RS winch, this slim winch. And it's where the fair lead comes in. It's kind of nice on these bumpers. The fair lead comes in a little lower, so you can actually just see straight through and see your drum, see your winch drum. So if you had to operate with this thing at night or something like that, you could kind of just look straight in there and see what's going on with the winch drum. It's also got a remote control box, so we actually kind of hide that away, and we extend the plug for the corded plug out here on the front of the bumper, and it's kind of protected by your recovery point here, so you're not really going to crash into anything and rip that off. But it is a wireless remote too, so primarily you're probably going to go to your wireless remote and operate that way. And then just below that, you know, with the hook, we tend to use the Factor 55 Ultra hooks, because you've got about 4 or 5 tools in one with that. And it's just a really effective piece that we've been using on pretty much every one of our builds. For lighting, we can get a lot of light with, you know, less lights in this scenario down here low on the bumper. For down the road light, we wanted to run the LP9s in a driving combo pattern that we typically do in an amber. So you have a low beam, which is these bottom 6 diodes, and then your high beam or your high power is all 9. But in both modes, you have side lights that come on. You know, they kind of come out at an angle, about a 45-degree angle or so. So both of those lights cast a nice wide light, you know, overlapping fields of light down the road, and also kind of towards the shoulders too. One thing I do like, and I kind of picked up on this since we've been driving in a convoy, is the angle of the Squadron Pros on the flush mount Squadron Pros on the front bumper. Now this is more of a wider beam pattern, like a wide cornering lens pattern, but it's not facing straight down the road. It's kind of facing off to the side a little bit. So if this vehicle is behind you and you're looking at it in your mirrors, it's not overwhelming on your eyes to look back and see that light on. It's just, you see that it's on, but it's shining off to the sides. So if you have oncoming traffic too, and like last night we were in a convoy, we had about 4 trucks with us. There's a lot of dust, and you can see that as oncoming traffic. You can see that light before anything else, so you know somebody's coming at you in dust. So that's kind of a nice feature there. We're also running the Descent aluminum skids. Those, I really like the way those look, because they kind of made them, instead of it just being a flat piece of aluminum, it's got compound angles all welded into it. So with that, you get a lot of strength, but it's got a really cool look to it, because it kind of wraps around all of your mounting points underneath the truck, and looks pretty tough. Moving around, we've got the Metal Tech sliders, and on this truck, as you can see, it's not a factory like cabin on this truck anymore. But we didn't have to modify the sliders at all. I like the lines of Metaltex sliders, and they fit really nice and tight up against the rocker panel. But they also have like a nice step on it. So if you had a roof rack on top of the vehicle, or you wanted to stand on it and reach something up high, you can with the door open or closed. But you can lift the entire side of the truck up off the ground with this thing. So, if you need to put a high lift jack under there, or you need to pivot around a tree or a rock, you can. I mean, it's a very stout slider that they've come up with. So for the back end of this truck, what we're kind of excited about here is the way Descent designs their rear bumpers. And this one is designed to be a dual swing out. And so we built the truck first, and then we took it to Leif so he could kind of build the camper around factory body mount positions and where their bumper would normally be. So we didn't actually have to modify this bumper in any way to fit on here. We put it in the factory location as if you would on any normal Land Cruiser, 200 series Land Cruiser. But we opted to get it without the dual swing outs, which would actually bolt right into the corner wings of this, because we don't need a swing out off the back of the camper. You actually get into the camper from the side. So I was working with the engineer over there at Enduro Campers, and we came up with a fixed tire carrier that is really high up and out of the way, and it is bolted into the swing out locations on both sides. So it's captured here on both sides all the way across, but all of the compound angles that are bent it's all laser cut, and then all of the brackets are overlaid and then wrapped around and welded all the way around. So there's zero flex in any joint on this thing. And the material thickness that we use is extremely strong. So we wanted to wrap that up and as close to the camper as we could. And we wanted to minimize any movement off of this as much as possible, so we could mount the 35-inch tire up here. And we're going to be moving things around on the camper for equipment. We've got some mounting company mounts that are going to go on the camper. The Max Tracks will actually mount on top of the platform that was built into the tire carrier. So everything's going to have its place, but in order to put this tire on here, it's a little high right here because the ground's not even. But if you were to change this tire out, you can just undo the 3 lug nuts that are the same as what's on the truck, and just let this fall down to the ground, or you can ease it down to the ground. Putting one on here, there's a really simple and safe way to lift that. You can just reach lean in against your legs and lean back and rest the tire right on the end of this and just push it right up into place. So there's minimal effort that it takes to put this tire up on this tire carrier. But it's also got a 2-inch receiver hitch right in the center that comes out through the center bore of the wheel for a bike rack. So you can see that is about this high. So if you put a bike rack on here, the bikes are going to be about this high. So you don't have to worry about dragging them off of anything. You can actually still truly take this thing off road and get back into remote places and not have to worry about your bikes hitting anything. In this scenario, is running a trash bag on here. But other than that, the bumper is the way Descent makes it. So we just kind of built off of what they already have. And we were able to incorporate the S2 Pro by Baja Designs in a wide cornering as well. So that's a really wide white light. We have that on its own switch, so you can kind of turn that on or use it as a camp light or something like that if you wanted to. And then kind of moving in right behind the tank, or right behind the bumper, there is an LRA 24-gallon auxiliary tank. So that tank is adding 24 gallons to the factory tank. So we're running almost like 50 gallons of fuel capacity in this truck. All right, so under the hood, we try to keep things as clean as we possibly can. So it's just easy to diagnose something if need be, but it just kind of keeps the clutter down. So with onboard air, this one's running the ARB dual compressor on the SDHQ mount that is designed for this location. So it just keeps everything solid and very, very clean. You've got your quick connect right here on this side, and your compressor can be powered by the S-Pod that we've got in here. But kind of just moving forward from that and working our way around. As I mentioned, this winch is a wireless setup. So in order to turn that wireless feature on, you have a push button, power button. So we tend to relocate that button to somewhere in here, and it's sitting right here on this plastic shroud that's underneath the hood, and you can just turn that on, and you can hear it beep. And then once it learns itself to the remote, then it goes off, and you can operate it. But that's just how you give power to the winch. And then kind of moving around to the S Pod. We're running the Bantam X S Pod, and this is also a Bluetooth feature that you can actually link to your phone and give your phone like a touch screen, and you can operate your lights and everything off of that. So we mount that directly on top of the factory fuse box, and we have it set in a way to where there's slack in the harness and everything. So if you needed to get into the fuse box, you can lift it off and just set it out of the way. But this just stays connected to the lid itself, and everything's kind of, all the electrical stuff stays in the same location. So when we run these S Pods, we kind of opt for the actual push buttons, because you can look down and see and feel this, but without actually having to take your eyes off the road. If you know which switch does what, you can actually just reach down and feel which switch you want, and without actually having to focus on it, as if it was a smooth touch screen. But they're both good options for different applications. So this is where we mount the panel, right below the AC vent here. It's easy to get to from the steering wheel. So in this, you can see, since we're running electric lockers, we have a rear locker, front locker, because you're more than likely going to engage that first. So those are 1 and 2, and then this one is your air compressor, just for working onboard air, rear lights in the rear bumper, and then your roof lights. So there are LP4s on the roof of this truck, so that's where this is. And these are just blanks. So if the client wanted to add anything to this, he can just go straight to these, and it's already powered. Kind of moving down a little bit, this is the switch for the auxiliary tank, the LRA 24-gallon tank, and it'll give you we have about 50 gallons of fuel capacity on this truck. So 24 gallons auxiliary, and then about, I think it's about 26 gallons or so, 25 or 26 gallons of factory fuel capacity. So, and in order to do that, you've got a little level gauge on here. Green lights light up on how full that auxiliary tank is, and as you're driving down the road, you can just hit that button, and it'll start the pump, and it'll just transfer as you're going. And then moving over just a little bit, this is our LP9 switch. So this is a high and a low power, as I was mentioning. So we don't run a high and low power off of the S Pod. This is just a really good switch that you can reach down and feel right by the steering wheel. And it's off in the middle, but then low power and then high power. So we like to use those because it's a good firm click. So if you have oncoming traffic and you're running a high power light like that, you can find it really quick and easily. For wheels and tires on this one, a lot of people will ask, well, why not run 37s? Or everybody wants to jump to the largest tire size possible. But what we found on the Land Cruisers, the 200 series Land Cruisers, and the suspension components we're using, the 35-inch tire has been a really great tire balance-wise, and to balance the truck and handle what the truck's got to carry. But it's proportionate. The 200 series are kind of big trucks. They're a short wheelbase, but they're larger trucks. And when you build them, they can be kind of heavy. So what's physically touching the ground is very important. So on this truck, we're running the Toyo Open Country RT Trail, and it's a 35 1250 17. We tend to try to stick to the 17-inch wheel diameter because it gives you a lot of sidewall height. From here to here, when you air this tire down, you've got a lot of flex in here, and that can be your small boom compliance when you're running across washboard roads and things like that. And it gives you also protection on the wheel. Sometimes you can still scratch your wheel up, but if you've got a large sidewall here that can flex out, like you can see over this, the way it's sitting on this rock, that can give you some protection on the wheel itself too. So you get a lot of flex in the tire, which is a really good thing when you want it. But the diameter itself is very important too, because when you compress this tire, the tire isn't only tall, so you have to limit it to a certain extent right here so you don't hit your fender, but it's also long front to back. So there are things that we have to do in here on, as most people know, you can do body mount chops and things like that. But what we do when we do our body mount chops, we box in our front body mount with steel, and we can wrap that steel around. But then there's a lot of stuff we do up in behind here with this pinch seam inside here, and we can flatten that out. There's a certain way to do that, but then we seal it all up, and then we hand make these inner fender liners to kind of keep everything really clean and strong. So this tire can turn and move like it needs to, full suspension stroke as it needs to without hitting stuff. So there's really no need to go bigger than this to a 37 with the width that we're using on the suspension components. So by running a 35, it's just really proportionate tire size for this truck. This wheel itself is the Method 703, and it's got that bead grip technology in it that is proprietary to Method race wheels, and that's on both beads of the wheel. So it's the outside bead has like a groove, has grooves in it that actually gives a really, really strong bite to when this tire is mounted and it locks onto that bead. It can't be pushed inward and off of the bead. So it's like that on the inside bead as well. It's extremely effective, and you don't have to worry too much about having a mechanical bead lock if you don't want to. So this is a really, really good option for a daily driven truck or something that, you know, you want a lightweight wheel that's going to have a really good bead retention with your tire. So to run this tire size, we are re-geared in this truck. So we're running nitro gears, 488 gear ratio with Eaton electric lockers, front and rear. So this truck is triple locked, which gives you true four-wheel drive. You're not relying on a traction, a computer to tell you if you have traction or not. You just have true four-wheel drive when needed. And since it's a push button, if you feel like you're going to need that traction to get through an obstacle, you engage your locker either front or rear by themselves or all together. You get through your obstacle and then you take them off. So it's very, very convenient to be able to have the benefit of a push button system. So to round out the suspension on this, what we call our stage 2 system is long travel. So what that means is your control arms are longer than the factory control arms. So the pivot point on your lower control arm is here. So from that pivot point to your knuckle is actually longer than stock. So that makes this whole thing move in a larger radius up and down. The coilover itself is also longer. So all of these components off of the frame are longer, giving your vehicle more opportunity to brace for impact as the suspension moves. So it's a lot more tunability, and it just controls the load of the moving mass of a loaded vehicle so much better. And if you look at it closely, there is no more KDSS system hooked up to this. So we eliminate that KDSS system because that is for one, the concessions for it aren't in the right place for this scenario, but it's not even needed. So we're increasing our spring rates on all four corners, which helps support the load of the vehicle, but also changing our dampening and the valving inside the shock, it controls the sway of the vehicle when you're going around turns and things like that. But where that really, really benefits you is when you do go off-road, or even if you're on the road and you hit something on one side, the suspension can move up and down without having a link connected to your suspension and then into your chassis. And that can toss the vehicle side to side, even pulling into a parking lot. So if this can move up and down by itself without transferring that energy into the frame of the truck, then everything's going to move so much smoother. So moving fast down a desert road or even just turning into a driveway, that is a very effective thing to eliminate from this scenario. But there is a right and a wrong way to do that. So that's kind of something that we do. It's been working really, really well on 4Runners and Land Cruisers. And with this one being built as a camper, it's been very, very effective. All right, so for suspension on this particular truck, we're running Radflow's new setup, and they're valving these for us in a way that works best for an expedition platform. The way the adjuster knob is, we have our high-speed dampening set up in the valve shim stack itself inside the shock. So what we can adjust by hand with the adjuster knob is the low speed. So if you're cruising slow and you're going around town, or you're going slow and stuff over rocks, and you want to change the amount of resistance you have in the shock, you can just reach in and turn a knob click by click, and that creates more resistance or less resistance in the dampening. So if you feel like you maybe have a little bit more body roll than you want coming down off of an obstacle, you can slow that down and get a little bit more composed ride out of it. And we run our kind of a custom spring rate as well. You know, depending on what the truck weighs and how we want it to perform, you know, spring rates are addressed on every vehicle we're building. For rear suspension on this, we really like to use the Total Chaos chromoly links. So we're running the upper and lower links and the adjustable track bar in the back. And there is another component that we've been using on these that we really like, and it keeps everything in line like it should be, and that's a Dr. KDSS bracket that you can see. It relocates the axle side pivot point up more parallel to the axle itself, and that's very important because if you with a setup like this, if a spring rate is a heavier spring rate, it's naturally going to hold the truck up higher than it would be stock. So that link will start to point down towards the ground. Well, we want to keep that link as parallel to the ground as we possibly can, so it can move you're at more of like a center line of that radius as it moves up and down. So when you hit a bump straight on and the whole back of the truck is going to move up and down, it allows it to move up and down in more of a straight line, because as you drop that down, that link is going to move in a radius perpendicular to your direction of travel. So it's going to pull your axle down and to the side. So that can, if you don't address that and you're already pointed down on the axle side and you hit a bump and that drops even further, the axle will want to swing down out of the way, and the truck, as it moves up and down, will move side to side a little bit, and it can cause a little bit of a wobbly feel in the back of the truck. So by bringing that point on the axle back up to where it's as parallel as possible to the ground with that bracket, it allows the back of the truck to move straight up and down, and a more composed ride, mostly noticeable at speed, say on the highway. And kind of moving over, you can kind of see the green shock there. This is an Ironman set of coil springs. We use several different springs. It just depends sometimes on what's available, but we actually have the ability to get custom coil springs made. But this is a heavy set of Ironman coil springs. And we started with that because we weren't exactly sure what the camper would weigh. But since the camper doesn't weigh as much as we were thinking it would, then this spring set seems to be doing really well for us. And for rear shocks on this, we're running a 2.5 Radflow Rome series shock, and this is more suitable and tuned for an expedition platform. As you can see, the adjuster knob on there is you can feel it click by click, and that's what you can kind of fine tune your low speed settings. And we just have that mounted right here to the side, to the inner fender well of the camper on a bracket, so it's real easy to reach and get to. You can just turn this click by click if you wanted to, and it's a very effective adjustment. So that wraps up our portion of what we've done on this truck for this project with Leif and Enduro Campers, and hopefully we were able to get something out of this. This is something that we do intend to do again. We want to be able to take orders on these trucks, and we're working on pricing and everything. So this is a very repeatable project. So we can kind of tailor it a little bit here and there, but for the most part, what we found is working on this is doing really, really well. So stay tuned on that on future builds like this. And if you would like to know more about this, just contact us at tavllc.com. That's our website. And on that website, you will find a link to YouTube, our YouTube channel, which is Tactical Application Vehicles, and our Instagram, which is at TAVllc. So any of the equipment that you do see on this, you can also purchase through the website. It is a full web store. And if you've got any other questions about it, just give us a call at the shop or hit us up there, and we'll be able to get you taken care of.
Hi, I'm Leif with Enduro Campers, and this is our Land Cruiser 200 Super Tour build. And so for our side of the build, obviously TAV handling all of the suspension upgrades, bumper, all of the upfitting on that side. So we took over with, chopping the Land Cruiser and grafting the camper onto it. So obviously it's a two-door. We took the rear doors off, and then here you can see the part of the rear door being grafted on. We fabricated a fill panel right here. And so there's a steel frame that is welded onto the back, and then there's an aluminum frame along the back, or on the front of the camper that are bolted together and bonded together as well too. So there's, I don't even know how many bolts there are, ringing two rows of bolts going all the way around. Makes it super, super secure, waterproof and all of that. And then, so the basic construction, so the foam core FRP sandwich panels, super light, makes up the structure of the camper. And then with a 2-inch honeycomb floor sitting on a fabricated aluminum mounting structure that uses the factory cab mount so that it matches the flex with the front, so the whole thing can flex together. So we reutilized the factory cab mounts and then built our own frame structure underneath. So it's still fairly lightweight. And then on the outside, so you see vertical pop top with our dual layer, fully insulated tent. And so it has an insulation layer in between the two layers, so waterproof. And then the windows are 3-layer windows. So you have the insulating layer on the inside, you have a clear vinyl layer, and then the mesh on the outside. But then in addition, the entire window zips and opens up as well too. So you can get, just a free and clear view, open. You can access the awning, which is actually really nice to put the awning away from the inside. And then, so this is a manual lifting roof. We considered doing actuators, but it really came down to kind of the space that they consume as well as the additional weight, which isn't a ton, but very weight conscious on this build. So with the roof being so small, it's very easy to lift it up and down. And then on some of the other features, so we have our built-in slide-out steps, integrated fuel filler, which was a real challenge on this. This was one of the biggest challenges on this design, was fitting a dual fuel filler. So this has the Long Range America auxiliary tank. So that one filler, this has Long Range America's dual filler. So you point the filler in one direction and it points it. So fitting all of that in there with the transfer pump and the vents and everything was a real challenge in that space, but we got that working. And then, so we did have to modify the descent bumper down here to accommodate the steps. And then that was all designed around inside the, the way the camper was mounted as well too, to make sure that those slide out steps fit. And then over here, so we have exterior lighting on all three sides of the camper. So our area lights out here. And then on this side, we have, so your tank fill here, so you can fill with a hose, which you can also directly fill the tank from inside through the access port on the top of the tank if you wanted to pour water directly into it. And then this is the Aqua quick connect faucet. So I guess we could get it out, but this is outdoor, outdoor faucet. And this is filtered water as well too. So you have filtered water out here to easily fill up your water bottle. And then in here, in the side of the cargo hatch, you have the Expedition Upfitter 6-liter hot water heater in there. And then you have all your valves and plumbing. So you have a winterizing port, and then the Guzzle H2O UV filtration system in there as well too. And then we do have a scupper drain down there also, just in case something happens and you have a leak, it's not going to flood the camper. So that'll drain directly out. And your water pump and accumulator tank in there also. And then our signature gull wing door that we utilize, which I love this. It keeps the door out of your way while you're camping. And it's dictated by the bend in our campers. Really kind of forces us more or less to use the gull wing door, but functionality wise, we love it as well too. And then the Dirtbox Overland 270-degree awning, which we have our own mounts that utilize the T-slot. So these are our own extrusions that we cap the roof and the walls with. So you have a T-slot that works with 5/16 hardware. So it allowed us to mount the 5 Baja Designs LP4 lights directly onto the camper using our T-slot. And so we installed those with our own custom wiring harness. And then, so coming around this side, and so on the rear, so fairly short overhang, much shorter than on our other campers. Really dictated by keeping the vehicle length as short as possible while getting all of the interior amenities that we want. But really it was based around needing a tire carrier on the back. And so with the tire carrier, you don't want it cantilevered out so far. And so we designed this in conjunction with TAV. We did fabricate this ourselves. Probably in the future, I think TAV will be doing the tire carrier, but in terms of the time of the build, so we went ahead and fabricated the rear tire carrier. So it's pretty much all quarter wall steel, so very strong. And so obviously based on the descent mounting points for their swing away system. So it goes into the swing away mounting points that they have integrated into the bumper. So those are super reinforced by descent. So very strong bumper and handling the tire carrier. So with the tire carrier, the design was with these bars, you can lift, so 35s, so you can muscle the tire up onto these bars right here, and it's only about a ½ inch. And so from there you can kind of just pop it up onto the hitch receiver that's in the middle. So that can allow you to put a bike rack on the back, and then once you get it up there, you can line up the bolts and then slide it onto the bolt to secure it. And then up top, There's so this is a Baja Designs third brake light, and then the rear area light and the rear view mirror camera. So that replaces the rear view mirror, because obviously you can't see out of the back, so that gives you rear view. And then below there's also the factory backup camera that shows up in the dash, so that's up underneath there. So pretty much approximates the factory location, works great. And then, so we've added, license plate. So that's actually a Baja Designs license plate bracket, mounting bracket. And then you have the Baja Designs reverse lights, which TAV installed down here as well. And then we have the blind spot monitors that we took out of the cab and relocated here. So they're pretty close to the factory location, work perfectly on the road. And so we've integrated those into the tire carrier, kept them up out of the way a bit too, to keep them from snagging on anything. And then, the turn signals and brake lights back here. And then, so on this side, so we have the drop down access door over here. So this gives you outdoor access, kind of doubles as a table out here too. So, as we'll see on the inside, you can access this by lifting up the bench. So you have a motion sensor light, just wave your hand in here so the light turns on inside there. And there's USB and 12 volt power in here also, as well as L-track in here to secure your cargo, as well as a little floor mat. As you can see how we're doing on both the entry door and our cargo doors, there's an inset door sill too, which is a small thing, but it really is nice to not have a lip right here. And also when water gets in here, it drains out below below the floor at all. So it seals up really nice. So you can see there's almost no dust or anything in here. And so really nice and convenient for outdoor access, which is a big priority for us, outdoor access storage. We put it on all of our campers. And then, so this is the Osjade quick connect shower. So there's a shower that goes in here, has the mixing valve incorporated into it. So you have a shower out here. No shower awning on this side. The customer didn't really feel it was necessary, but we might add one later. Add the outdoor shower awning on this side. And then this here, so the auxiliary solar input on this side, and then the shore power for charging the battery, and it does have a transfer switch, so you can run all the electronics off of 120 volt power. And then, yeah, I guess actually I think I forgot to mention, so we have the fiberglass foam core sandwich panels, light and insulating, but all of this that you see that's wrapped in line is all carbon fiber below this. So it's all carbon fiber edged to really seal it off, makes it strong, super light, and then carbon fiber over the front as well, and then Raptor liner for the protection, and easy to clean, easy to repair if you hit something hard enough and it chips it, really easy to patch up and repair. So the outdoor light on this side as well too, all controlled through the Switch Pros. So then the Arctic Turn dual pane window on this side. Always nice to have a window. Even we really always recommend having a window on this side, on both sides of the camper if possible, for cross ventilation down low. Even if you're not really going to necessarily use it for the view, it's still nice to have a window, but the cross ventilation is really important. Of course, you have a shade and a screen on these as well too.
Okay, so on the interior, we have, galley over here, induction cooktop, and then we have the sink here, which because the bed comes down, so we have this really nice RE Global German fold down sink. It's nice action to it. Hot water, of course, filtered water with the Guzzle H2O system, all the plumbing down below here. And then we have a little storage area down here too. And then the plumbing is there, so those shelves come out for access to the plumbing area, but you also have the outdoor access as well too to reach the valves, and a little bit of storage down there underneath as well too. So a nice big storage area in the galley. And then a drawer here, nice drawer here, all nice positive locking latches, soft close. And then the 85 liter isotherm fridge on this side, which we'll show in a second. And then up here, so there's additional storage boxes up here. Everything's on magnets to keep it from rattling, nice and tight. We have little storage boxes here. These are actually, also double as landing plates for the bed platform as well too. So you can see on this side. So there's the rail here for the bed platform to land on. And then we do L-track connection points all along this, so you can hang gear along here too. And then we have the Arctic Turn dual pane window here with the slide, with the shade and bug screen mechanism in there as well too. Their new black interior shade structure. And then on the back over here, so this was, because it is a fairly short overhang, we couldn't really kind of do a traditional, cabinet, although we could have done doors here, but we went with the Step 22, the Stingray flatback boxes. And so they fit nicely in here, so they're easy access. And so what we did on these is, you can see how it, this looks like it could fall out, but we added magnets to the bottom of the boxes here. So they're held in by magnets and they pop out. So you have a nice, easy access to them. So you can see the magnet striker down there. And then with this too, you can also just open them and kind of access right into the bag without even removing it too. So awesome boxes, designed that around. So you have 4 of those, which is quite a bit of storage. And then a little bit of bonus storage down below. You have our cubbies on this side, which is kind of a signature for us. We really, really believe in the, the open cubby storage right next to the door, which is so handy for your headlamps, your, cold beverage, phone, that sort of thing. And there are USB-C and 12-volt outlet inside this cabinet here for charging purposes. So, and then the rich light countertops back here. So another super usable countertop space. So there's a lot of countertop space back here that's really nice to have. And then because this is still a pretty good amount of countertop space, but you have, the induction sort of acts like countertop space. You have more over there, you have countertop space up here, and then behind you have a huge countertop space excuse me, when the bed is folded up. So this is all usable countertop space when when the bed is raised up. And then down here, the benches. So this one here is the access to the outdoor storage area down here. So this has the drop down door, which we looked at outside. And so motion sensor activated light in here. So as soon as you open the door, you have a light shining into there. And then obviously USB and 12-volt power down there as well too. And then this one here, this was sort of specifically, this is a little bit deeper. And so this one's really specifically designed to hold bedding in that storage space there. And then over here, so another open storage here as well too. And so this is actually sized so you can fit a wrap-on toilet in here as well too. And then you can see the back of the outdoor shower there. So then on this one here, so we have the electrical system in this one. So again, everything's on magnets, and this one latches up magnets for serviceability. So we have the electrical system in here, and then in the middle there's the Starlink router box there. Just kind of place in there for now. We'll need to secure that. And then so we'll get into a little more of the electrical system in a bit. And then on this side, we have the water tank, so 18-gallon water tank in here. So you have a direct fill access from the top as well too. So you can fill it with a hose from outside, or you can open that and dump water in there directly too. All the weight, again, nicely centrally located in the camper for weight distribution. You can see back here how light it is on this side. So there's just almost very little weight towards the rear of the camper. And then on this side, so you have the isotherm 85-liter drawer fridge. So this gives you great access from outside. So you can access, and these fridges are really meant for side access. And so that works really well to be able to access from inside and outside, so you don't have a door in your way swinging one way or another. So these are really nice fridges with a freezer up top too. And then for the control panels, so we have the switch pros controls here. So all your lightings, overhead, outdoor, all your outdoor lighting, water pump, fridge. This is your hot water heater. And then for the Starlink power there. And then 120-volt outlet here with USB, USB-C. And this is the Xantrex inverter controller. So turn your inverter on and off and change some of your settings there. And then, so Victron battery monitor here. And then the ScanStrut dual USB-C. So this one here is really nice because it's accessible from the bed as well. So when the bed is down, it comes to about here. So you have dual USB, all fast charging. And then the S-Bar heater controller. So this is the gasoline S-Bar heater. So it draws gasoline from the truck's tank, and really kind of an overkill heater, but heats this thing up really quickly. Very nice. And then water tank monitor as well too. Okay, so on the electrical, we have starts with the Deep Cycle Systems 200 amp hour lithium battery. Really, really nice batteries from Australia. So obviously the Victron battery monitor shunt, and then we have the Victron DC-DC charger, Victron solar charger, so 600 watts of solar on the roof. Keeps the battery nice and topped up. Battery protect monitor, fusing. You see all the switch pros. A little tough to see with the Starlink thing here, but yeah, all terminal block with the switch pros. So all keeping it all nice and serviceable, and then the battery fusing over here too. So all in a pretty compact space, but full featured, all ABYC compliant, installation. So we really pride ourselves on our wiring, and that, and so temperature controlled fan as well too. So cooling fans. So we have nice ventilation through here as well too. So they turn on at 80 degrees, and then we also have auxiliary fans on the DC-DC charger as well too that run when the truck is running. And so those keep the DC-DC charger cool, even because it's in an enclosed space. So we do think about the heat impacts. And then on this side, so yeah, the water tank, again, 18 gallons, you can direct fill. This is your 120 volt breakers there for your shore power and your circuit on the interior. And then down here on the bench area, there's additional ScanStrut USB-C fast charging right here too. So we have a vent for the electrical area, and then a 120 volt outlet down here as well. So with the bed platform, you can see it folds and hinges in the middle and pushes up towards the front. So it's on a couple of gas struts. And then you can see the mattress being squeezed up here. So the X-Bed inflatable mattress. This would work with a standard foam mattress as well too, but we just kind of wanted to make sure that it folded up nicely, and the customer just kind of wanted to use an X-Bed mattress as well too. Really likes those. And so this is, it's really simple. You just pull down. So it just almost lets itself down and falls down. As you can see, he's got the sleeping bag still in here, fits nicely. And so queen size bed, nice and big. And this is still a lounge area. So we're back here. We've got quite a bit of space still in the camper, and so you can hang out up here. So you have the big windows on the side. You have a board to lean against at the top. And then this is the mechanism that allows you to pull down on the roof to bring it down, because this is a manual roof lift. So to go back up, you just kind of lift it up, give it a little prod, and it just pushes right back up into place, and then all the way forward. So we've set the lights, to clear the bed platform as well too, so the lights aren't blocked or anything like that. But it's just really, really easy to put it up and put it down. There's no hassle at all.
All right, hope you enjoyed this walk around of the Land Cruiser Super Tour build. So really excited about this, do some more filming and testing on this, but so far off-road has been handling great. And so if you're interested in following us, so Enduro Campers on Instagram, Enduro Campers on YouTube, we're going to be posting a number of walkthrough videos coming up. We have in the backlog. We've got some really exciting projects coming up as well too. So one of the next is a Ranger, with a similar camper, similar layout. And then so our other platforms, so our kind of flagship, the large Super Tour, is going to be only offered actually for the Ford Super Duty going forward, although we have done a number of Rams. We are also offering flatbed campers as well too. So you can do a flatbed version of this as well on some of your standard sort of lengths of the flatbeds. And then on the midsize, so 6-foot bed Rangers and 6-foot bed 4th gen Tacoma. So the new Tacoma that's just coming out right now, really excited about that too. So it'll be a similar layout to this. A little bit stretched on both ends, but 6-foot bed only on those platforms. And so, yeah, we've got some cool stuff coming up, so give us a follow. Thank you.